From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Averi Haugesag.
And I'm Beardsley.
Today we're celebrating our 500th show and we're happy you could join us. Today on the show, after moving to New York City, one woman took her passion for cooking and writing to the next level. Then we'll learn about a man who turned his troubles into talent.
Also, for most of the United States, employment opportunities are limited. For one northern state, it's a whole different story. But first, 5 major U.S. airports are set to begin screening for the Ebola virus. Starting Saturday, all passengers arriving from West Africa will be questioned and examined at the JFK International Airport in New York. Next week, similar screenings will begin in Atlanta, Newark, Chicago, and Washington airports. The 5 airports receive about 95% of the 150 daily passengers from Ebola hotspots Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. The new screening measures include a temperature check with a laser thermometer and a questionnaire. October 8th brought a total lunar eclipse that turned the moon into a reddish-orange color. The spectacular sight is called a blood moon. The moon appeared more than 5% larger than the previous blood moon in April. This happens when it passes through the Earth's shadow. Wednesday's total lunar eclipse is the second in a sequence of 4. April 4th, 2015 is the next one, and the last one will appear on September 28th the same year. In northern states like North Dakota and Minnesota, it can be challenging to stay warm in the winter. Propane gas is a common way for these areas to heat their homes. Last year, paying for that warmth was difficult due to the loss of a pipeline which delivered nearly half of Minnesota's propane. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton recently met with propane suppliers in an effort to avoid a repeat situation. Last year's shortage caused propane prices to triple. The cost was so high that many families could not afford it. Social services in some states provide a fuel assistance plan for those who qualify.
Like the clients are eligible for 65%. We'll pay 65% of their heating bill, like their propane, their natural gas that heats their home, and then the clients pay for the rest.
NPR News reports about 10% of Minnesota households use propane for heat. And with another cold winter approaching, the propane industry is urging people to buy their fuel early.
A search engine giant is trying to bring wireless internet to areas without it with the use of airborne technology. A government filing says Google plans to begin internet testing via drones. The company has asked for permission from the Federal Communications Commission to use 2 frequency blocks in New Mexico for controlled testing. The experiment is planned to take about 6 months. Google recently acquired a firm that develops electric and solar unmanned aerial systems to help with the testing. The project has not been approved but is currently under review.
Graduating students often stress about what is to come. Stress may be less for people seeking employment in North Dakota. For Carly Forbes, graduation is just around the corner.
I'm so excited to finally graduate. It's been a really fun 4 years at UND. But I'm really happy to just go out and do what I'm passionate about and get involved in my field.
The good news for Carly and many other soon-to-be graduates is their timing.
There certainly is abundance of jobs in North Dakota. As a matter of fact, an all-time high. We have 27,000 openings in North Dakota.
For students graduating from North Dakota schools, the job boom makes it easy to find jobs in their backyard. The recent spike in employers looking to hire is an indication of healthy growth.
Well, our economy is strong and is growing, and as North Dakota, the news about what's happening in North Dakota, the word is getting out, and people from all over the country are coming.
North Dakota's economy grew by 13.4% from 2012 to 2013. That is 5 times faster than the national average, which is only 2.5%. The fields that need workers the most are jobs in engineering, healthcare, and construction. As for Carly, these statistics are music to her ears.
There's plenty of petroleum engineering jobs in North Dakota, and it's a rapidly growing field, so I'm really happy to be out there and be a part of it.
Carly has been reaching out to employers for the past few months and has already been called for interviews.
If you really know what you want to do and are passionate about it, you can go out and get in your field right away.
Many experts advise the unemployed to look no further than North Dakota. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says in the city of Williston, North Dakota, the unemployment rate is 0.8%. That's compared to 5.9% nationally. And that's the news for now.
You know, it's pretty crazy. I've heard out in Williston and cities like that you can get paid $15 an hour at a minimum wage job.
I've heard some incredible stories too.
It's crazy. Let's go now to Scott Wolff for the weather news. Scott?
Thanks, Averi. Now there was a pretty nasty line of severe storms that rolled through Kentucky. One town in particular, Paris, Kentucky, was hit by 2 tornadoes. One was an EF1 and one was an EF0. Now EF1 tornadoes can produce winds of up to 110 miles per hour, so that's pretty damaging. There was one woman who was sucked out of her house and deposited in her driveway. She suffered minor injuries, but she's okay now. 2 houses were severely damaged. Roofs were ripped straight off of them. Other houses and some cars were damaged when some trees fell down on top of them, and then some homes had gutters torn off of them. Access was cut off to some areas of Paris by the authorities due to some issues with looting. Didn't want any of that to be going on. So warm air is needed for tornadoes to form, but cold air is going to be coming in this upcoming season. That's going to be with the polar and Arctic fronts. The polar and Arctic fronts divide warm and cool air, and they're semi-continuous. They go all the way around the world. The polar front usually sits in southern Canada but can push down. That brings cooler temperatures with it. And then the Arctic front is way up north. That's up in northern Canada, has really, really cold temperatures coming right off of the ice cap. And that brings with it really, really cold temperatures. So when that pushes down, that'll bring your frigid temperatures in the winter. That usually doesn't push down except during the winter. But when it does, that'll bring your minus 20, minus 40 degree temperatures. So that's why Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, that kind of area, that's why they're so nasty during the winter, because the Arctic front will push down, bring stuff straight off of the ice cap. But we don't have to worry quite about that yet. We still have some fall colors to enjoy.
Breezy winds, change of seasons, beautiful scenery. Some of the little things that remind us that fall is near. There are particular reasons that make this time of the year so colorful.
So basically days are getting shorter, so they're receiving less sunlight. They detect that. In response, they tend to shut things down.
Carmichael says trees basically turn off nourishment to the leaves. He adds that not all the colors are quite the same. There are many factors that cause a change in colors.
That can be due to the types of pigments that different species of plants produce. An extreme case might be if we compare this green leaf here with something like this here.
Sunlight is the most important ingredient of what makes the season so vibrant. It certainly is not the only factor that turns a color.
So best conditions for viewing leaves would be cool temperatures, fairly dry weather conditions that tends to concentrate a lot of the pigments in the leaves.
Carmichael says these conditions make leaves most vibrant. Winter is progressively making its way, so enjoy the beautiful colors of nature while you can.
Regardless of the reasons that the leaves are the colors that they are, we still get to enjoy them throughout all of autumn. Now that brings us to our weather question of the week. Which tree holds on to its leaves the longest? Is it the maple, the hazelnut, the beech, or the birch? Now all of these are deciduous trees, so that means that they do all lose their leaves. We aren't trying to cheat you and say put a pine tree in there or something like that.
All right, thanks, Scott. Now we're going to head on over to Will for a sports story. Will?
All right, thanks, Avery. Marathon runners go through adversity every mile of their trek, but some go through hardship both on and off the course.
Let's make a little noise for him, everybody.
Dick Beardsley has been running marathons for over 40 years, but at the age of 58, Dick now focuses on motivating his fellow athletes.
Don't say you can't do it until you at least try. And if I can convey that to people, that to at least get out there and try, mission accomplished.
Dick has had a long and successful career, running in some of the biggest marathons in the world.
I'd heard about the Boston Marathon, but I never ever thought I'd ever run it, let alone have a chance to win it.
On April 19th, 1982, Beardsley took on the best of the best in Boston. And not only did he compete, he almost won.
And Alberto won the race in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 51 seconds, and I was right behind him in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 52.6 seconds.
Even though Dick lost that day, the future seemed bright. He was slated to be on the 1984 U.S. Olympic team, but an injury forced him out. His fight with adversity would not stop there. After retiring, Dick was in a farming accident that punctured his lung and almost tore off his leg. Through his recovery, he developed an addiction.
I was out of control. I was forging prescriptions. I was taking upwards of 80 to 90 pills a day of Percocet and Demerol and Valium.
After years of drug abuse, Dick finally went to treatment. Just like in a marathon, life can have its ups and downs. Through adversity, Dick has lived his life with a smile on his face and a phrase to keep him going.
To get where you want to be, if it is to be, it is up to me.
With photographer Eirik Bradley, I'm Alex Stadnick, reporting for Studio One.
Dick has been sober for almost 18 years. He and his wife now run a foundation that helps addicts find treatment in Texas. And that's the sports story for today's show. Avery?
All right, thanks, Will. From the Big Apple to a small Midwestern city, one woman is sharing her experiences online through colorful stories, photos, and recipes. That's coming up next.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
At the University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, classes have real-life application. Mentors guide students. Our work improves quality of life by answering tough questions with creativity and innovation. The University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, training tomorrow's engineering and geology experts today. At the University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, classes have real-life application. Mentors guide students. Our work improves quality of life by answering tough questions with creativity and innovation. The University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, training tomorrow's engineering and geology experts today.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
After graduating from Juilliard in New York City, one freelance musician, writer, and cook decided to put all her passion in one place. Blogger Molly Ye joins us today to talk about her site and the world of blogging full-time. Thanks for coming on the show with us today,
Thanks
Molly.
for having me.
So you're from Chicago, but you moved to New York City. Kind of tell me what prompted your move and why did you go out there?
I moved to New York to go to Juilliard. I studied classical percussion there, and I was there for, I was at Juilliard for 4 years. I graduated and decided to stay in New York, and I moved out to Brooklyn, and I loved it. It was crazy.
You were studying percussion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what was life like in New York? I mean, what did you do out there?
I loved it. I mean, every day was something different, a new restaurant to try, a new party to go to, a new concert to see, and I loved it for, you know, the first 5 years. And then my now fiance, Nick, and I started dating, and we just we became homebodies together, and we kind of realized our calling, which was sort of to be back in the Midwest and closer to our families, and really kind of slow things down a little bit. So that's what made us decide to come here.
So you had said something earlier about having your own supper club. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I lived in Brooklyn, I had a supper club that was sort of a hybrid with a concert series. So I would have people over, and I'd cook a bunch of dumplings and cake, and we would just hang out, and I'd have a house concert, and it was a lot of fun.
So I know you lived in New York for quite a few, you said 4 years, was it?
A total of 6 years.
6 years,
Yeah.
okay. So what made you move out here? You know, I mean, you moved to Midwest, little town Minnesota. How did you do that?
Okay, well, first of all, we love it here.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, just after a few years in New York, we were just really ready for a quieter life. And my family's in Chicago, so, you know, this is a little bit closer to there than New York. And Nick's family is out here. And so we were just, you know, ready to have space and be back on his family's farm. And I was ready to really focus on my blog as well.
That's great. So you said you have a blog. I mean, what inspired you to start it?
I've always kept diaries since the day I could write. I have a stack of diaries at home. And, you know, I just, blogging was sort of a natural progression once blogs got popular. I just thought, wow, it's so easy to combine photos with words and have people read them and not, you know, trust myself to bury them at the end of my life so that people in the future can find them and then, you know, read my stories. So now I can share it with other people, and I could read other blogs and just learn what life is like around the world. And it's
nice. It's
so
one
much
medium.
fun.
You know, you can put it all together, all your talents.
Exactly.
So what are your blog? What's it about? Like, what kind of sections do you have on there? That kind of thing.
It's mostly about food, and so I love developing recipes. I draw a lot of inspiration from my Chinese and Jewish heritages, and then I'm also really influenced by the cuisine here. Like, I just had my hot dish for the first time, and lefse I love, and so I just love connecting to different cultures through food, and so I blog about that. And then I also love traveling as well, and also the farm life is all new to me, so it's fun to share that with people.
So how many followers do you have on this blog?
Oh, it's really difficult to tell. I mean, I'm just really happy that I have followers across all different age groups, both genders, and so it's really fun to interact with my followers, but I try not to you know, count
Give
numbers.
it away.
Yeah.
You do have a way of knowing, though. Is that right? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a stat counter, and, you know, I can check it, but I mean, there are some blogs that I read that are amazing that, you know, might not have gotten the exposure yet that they deserve, or, you know, it's just so different for blogs.
So your food is, what kind of things do you like to make? You like to make kind of gourmet things? That's what I was looking at on your blog. It looked like you made cakes and that kind of thing.
Well, I love cakes.
Yeah.
Cakes, it's like, you know, sculpting a work of art with sprinkles and frosting is your medium. So I love making cakes. I love waiting for people's birthdays to come up so that I can.
There's yours. It looks like we got a picture
my
up
birthday.
there.
I made my birthday cake.
Perfect.
Is that a faux pas?
No, I think that's okay.
And then this is a pistachio cream cake with chocolate ganache that's actually from a cookbook of one of my blogger friends. So it was delicious. I brought it to my brunch club here.
It looks really good.
I'll make you one.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years now that you're out here in Minnesota?
Probably with a pet pig, some chickens. Maybe I can convince my fiance by then. And I would just love to continue doing the blog and growing its following and just developing my style and
just keeping it up.
learning new food.
So what are some differences that you notice between here and New York? I mean, obviously there's got to be something different because it's big city to small
You mean
town.
aside from the winters?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, meeting people, it's such a different process here. And it freaked me out when I got here at first. I thought, you know, because in New York, you meet someone and within 60 seconds you can know their life story. And they'll totally open up to you. And it's a little bit jarring at first, but then I got used to that. And then I moved here and, you know, maybe I would ask people different questions about themselves, but it's just a slower process of getting to know people here. And so it was scary at first, but now I've met some really great friends.
I'm glad you like it. All right, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, many people see graffiti as a crime. Others see it as an art form or even therapy. One man in particular sees it as an opportunity to teach. That's next.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
North Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Others live to their full potential, improve clients' mental and physical well-being, excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Have to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
If you would like to attend a live show, go to our website at studio1.und.edu.
Just in time for Halloween, audiences will be treated to a new version of a classic horror story. Dracula Untold doesn't follow the origins set by the book. Instead, it creates a new story for the title character. Vlad is a prince who has recently brought peace to his country. That peace is threatened when Sultan demands 1,000 boys to be child soldiers. The prince is faced with an impossible decision. He either must give up the boys, including his own son, or help from a demon that could doom his own life.
It's a story of torment and sacrifice and love and heartbreak and extreme humanity. There's a lot of humanity in this story which you wouldn't expect from a story about Dracula.
Dracula Untold takes from the real life of Vlad III of Wallachia. He ordered his men to call him Dracula, meaning the son of the dragon or devil. Dracula Untold is rated PG-13 and opens in theaters on October 10th. More than 30 million people in the United States play fantasy football each year. Whether they play it for the social interaction or competition, it's a way for people to have a little fun with their friends. But fantasy football is estimated to cost employers $13.4 billion in lost productivity this year. We wanted your thoughts on fantasy football's impact on society.
I'm indifferent. I don't think it's good or bad. If people want to have fun doing it, go for it.
I guess, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. I don't see why it would have a negative effect. It's just a bunch of people putting stuff on a computer about a football team.
Communicate, gets them thinking about, brings them together. Sometimes drives them apart, but.
It creates a lot of relationships with people within the office and outside the office. It's kind of a way for people to wind down and kind of just get to know each other, and keeps people young, I guess.
You sit around on your computer at home and play a little fantasy football with friends, so I think it's good.
It's fun to do if you're doing it. I mean, it's a social thing. I take it as it's bringing people together that necessarily wouldn't be together.
A comment from our Facebook page from Michael from Denver, Colorado said, I agree with how it could reduce productivity. I sometimes find myself talking about my fantasy team for far too long while I should be working on homework. Claire from Plymouth, Minnesota said, it's a great thing. I do it with my 2 preteen boys, and it's time for us to work together and talk about our teams and talk football. Plus, it's fun on game days.
Graffiti tends to have a negative stereotype. One man says that it can be a positive form of expression.
Graffiti is derived from the Italian word graffito, which means to put something on a wall. Rich Patterson expresses himself through the art of graffiti. He was recently asked to create his 4th piece at the University of North Dakota.
I'm sort of like, okay, I'll do it, until y'all say, whoa, like, we're excited. So when I walked in here, they like, we're excited. I thought, okay, I'm excited too.
Although he is all smiles today, he faced some problems while growing up in Lower Manhattan.
Arrest record for, using drugs and stuff like that. That was a direct result of my, my participation in graffiti.
Rich played professional basketball in Europe, and when he came back to coach young players, his life truly changed.
They would ask coach, well, how do I do that? How do I get to be like you? And my response was always go to school. Go to school, 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 go to school. Except that I hadn't went to school.
After much debate and a round-trip ticket just in case, Rich was a 38-year-old college student. He spent the next 9 years of his life dedicated to graduating with a master's degree in education.
I came to class every day, prepared. I carried 2 backpacks. I carried every book to every class, every day.
Much like Rich's life, graffiti begins with a blank slate full of endless possibilities. Though the process may not be very neat, in the end, they both end up to be a beautiful thing. Reporting for Studio One, I'm Tasha Olson.
Rich is currently living in North Carolina and teaching kindergarten. He says he makes sure his students will grow up understanding the importance of education.
What a great turnaround. I mean, that's awesome.
I agree.
Great. Now Scott is going to join us in our studio with a final look at the weather. Scott?
Thanks, Avery. We're actually looking at a pretty nice week coming up here. Looking at some warmer than average temperatures across most of the United States, all the way from the Pacific Coast in California, all the way up to the Northeast in Maine. Looking at wetter than average conditions in the Pacific Northwest as well as on the East Coast, particularly up in the Northeast. Drier than average conditions in the Central Plains all the way down to Texas, particularly Texas and Oklahoma. This brings us back to the weather question of the week. Which tree holds on to its leaves the longest? It's actually the beech tree. Avery, the beech tree doesn't drop its leaves until the end of the winter, so it drops in the spring as fertilizer.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a beech tree.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Scott. And thanks for being with us on our 500th show. As always, you can follow us through social media or get more information on our website. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.
And we'll see you next time.